Sara had spent most of her life believing that love, real love, was something you proved through actions, not words. She wasn't a woman of grand speeches. She didn't know how to write emotional letters or express herself poetically. But she was a woman who showed up. When her daughter Lily cried the first night at the hospital, it was Sara who held her. When Lily grew old enough to walk, then run, then fall, Sara was the one who lifted her back up. And when Lily's father left, quietly, without ceremony, without even a final goodbye, Sara told herself she didn't need him. She had Lily. That was enough. For years, she worked 2 jobs, mornings at a bakery, nights cleaning offices. Some nights she came home so exhausted that the world spun, but she still tiptoed into Lily's room to kiss her forehead. Every birthday, every school project, every scraped knee, Sara was there. And she believed with all her heart that Lily felt it too. Time moved, as time does, fast and slow at once. Lily grew, became a teenager, a young woman, and slowly their relationship shifted. It wasn't that Lily became cruel. No, never. She was just busy. Busy with school, busy with her friends, busy with her dreams. Sara kept giving and Lily kept moving forward. Then came the wedding. Sara remembered every detail of how it all began. The first time Lily rushed into the kitchen holding up her hand, a sparkling ring catching the sunlight. She was glowing. She was radiant. And Sara cried tears of joy, not for the ring, not for the ceremony, but because her daughter had found someone she loved. Someone who could give her a life better than the one Sara had struggled to provide. Months passed. Lily planned the wedding down to every last detail, and naturally, Sara helped. She sewed ribbons, compared flower prices, bargained with decorators, and even paid a few deposits when Lily fell short. She ironed table runners while her hands ached. She stayed up late arranging tiny glass jars filled with fairy lights. Every time Lily thanked her, it was a rushed kiss on the cheek, a distracted smile, a passing "love you, Mom," before she ran out the door again. Sara kept telling herself it was fine. Daughters grow up, they make new homes, new families. Still, there was a tiny ache in her chest that whispered, I hope she still wants me there. I hope she still needs me. 1 week before the wedding, Lily came over with a strange stiffness in her voice, as if rehearsing a speech she didn't want to give. Mom, she began, fiddling with her bracelet. Sara looked up from the dining table where she had been tying ribbons. Yes, sweetheart? Mom, we decided the ceremony will be super tiny. Sara blinked. Tiny? But we sent invitations. We planned for... I know, Lily interrupted gently. But the groom's parents feel big weddings cause too much stress. So only people who don't cause stress will be there. Sara felt something inside her go silent. People who don't cause stress? Lily didn't meet her eyes. It's nothing personal, Mom. We love you. It's just you worry a lot. And sometimes that makes me worry. And the wedding needs to be peaceful. Peaceful. Stress-free. Without her, Sara tried to nod, tried to swallow, tried to breathe through the sharp sting spreading through her chest. Oh, she whispered. I see. Mom, please don't be upset. No. Sara forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Your wedding should be how you want it. Don't worry about me. But that night, alone in her small bedroom, She cried silently into her hands, not because they didn't invite her, but because Lily hadn't even fought for her. Not even a little. The day of the wedding arrived like a storm she had hoped would never come. Sara woke early. She tried to keep herself busy, clean the kitchen, water the plants, wash the bathroom tiles, even though they didn't need washing. Anything to avoid thinking about what she was missing. At noon, she sat on the couch, phone in hand, waiting for a text, a voice note, a picture, a simple, thinking of you, Mom. Nothing. Finally, out of instinct, she opened social media, and there it was, the live stream link. She hesitated. Should she watch? Would it hurt more? But curiosity, love, and heartbreak pulled at her like an invisible hand. She clicked. There they were. Lily, looking breathtaking in the veil Sara had helped choose. The groom, his parents, and dozens of guests. Everyone except her. Her heart broke in slow motion. She watched everything. The vows, the kiss, the cheers. Feeling like a ghost. Invisible, yet painfully present. When the groom's mother hugged Lily, Sara's chest cinched. That should have been her. Even for a second. Even for a single picture. But there she was, watching her daughter's life from behind a screen. Like a stranger. Days passed. Weeks. Eventually, months. The call finally came. Lily's voice hesitant. Mom, we're struggling with the new house payments. Could you help, just for a little while? Sara closed her eyes. So many years, so many sacrifices, so much love poured into someone who didn't think her presence was worth a single chair at her own daughter's wedding. She inhaled slowly. I raised you alone. She said quietly, her voice trembling but firm, but I won't support you alone. Silence. A shocked breath on the other end. Mom. Sara gently ended the call. And for the first time in a very, very long time, she put herself first. She signed up for dance lessons the next morning. Something she had always dreamed of, but never dared to try. When she walked into that room, music echoing across the polished floors, she felt something open inside her. She wasn't just a mother. She wasn't just a shadow behind someone else's happiness. She wasn't invisible. She was Sara. And she was learning, slowly, painfully, beautifully, how to live again. The dance studio smelled of polished wood and faint lavender cleaner. Sara stood near the wall, hands clasped, heart pounding as if she were about to confess a crime rather than take her first lesson. Around her, women laughed softly, adjusting scarves, stretching arms that had known movement for years. She felt out of place. Not because of her age, not because of her clothes, but because for most of her life, Sara had only existed for someone else. The instructor smiled warmly. First time? Sara nodded. First time choosing myself. The words surprised even her. The music began, slow, gentle, and as Sara followed the steps, her body resisted at first. Years of exhaustion lived in her muscles. Years of putting herself last had taught her to stay small, quiet, careful. But something happened when she moved. Her feet remembered freedom. Her spine straightened. Her breath deepened. For 1 hour, no one called her mom. No one needed anything from her. No one dismissed her presence as stress. She went home that night tired in a new way. Not drained, but alive. Weeks passed. Sara kept going to class. She bought herself comfortable shoes. She started cooking meals that she liked. She woke up without dread. But healing is not a straight line. Some nights, she still opened her phone and stared at Lily's name. She reread old messages, "Love you, Mom," trying to figure out when those words had become lighter than air. She never reached out first, and Lily never did either. Until one afternoon, months later, there was a knock on Sarah's door. She opened it, and the past stood right in front of her. Lily looked thinner, tired. Her eyes darted around the apartment, as if searching for something familiar that no longer lived there. "Hi, Mom." Sara didn't smile. She didn't frown. She simply stepped aside. "Come in." They sat across from each other at the small kitchen table, the same one where Sara had once tied wedding ribbons with aching hands. Lily spoke first. "You didn't answer my texts." "I read them," Sara replied calmly. "I didn't mean to hurt you," Lily said quickly. "The wedding, it was complicated." Sara nodded once. "Love often is." Silence stretched. Then Lily's voice cracked. "I didn't realize how much you did for me. Not until you stopped." There it was, not an apology, an observation. Sara studied her daughter's face, the same eyes she had once wiped tears from at night. "I wasn't asking to be worshipped," Sara said softly. "I was asking to be seen." Lily swallowed. "I thought you'd always be there, no matter what." "That," Sara said gently, "is not love. That's entitlement." The word landed between them like glass. "I didn't invite you," Lily whispered, "because I was afraid you'd remind me of everything I came from." Sara felt the old ache rise, but it didn't own her anymore. "I am not your past to be embarrassed of," she said. "I'm your foundation." Lily cried then. Real tears, not the rushed kind. "I don't know how to fix this." Sara stood and placed a cup of tea in front of her. Her hands were steady. "You don't fix it by asking for money," she said. "You fix it by choosing differently." They didn't hug, not yet. Lily left an hour later, quieter than she arrived. That night, Sara stood in front of the mirror before bed. She barely recognized the woman looking back. Stronger shoulders, calmer eyes. She whispered, "I didn't disappear. I was erased." And then, for the first time, she forgave herself for staying too long in a place where love was conditional. Months later, Sara performed in a small dance showcase. Nothing grand. Just a few rows of chairs, soft lighting, applause that felt like rain after drought. As she bowed, she noticed someone standing near the back. Lily, clapping, watching, seeing. They met eyes. No reconciliation, no dramatic reunion, just acknowledgement. And for Sara, that was enough, because she had learned something no one had taught her before. A mother's love is powerful, but it should never require her to disappear. Time did not rush to fix what had been broken. It moved carefully, the way you step over shattered glass, slow, deliberate, aware that one careless move could reopen old wounds. Sara did not chase reconciliation. She did not send long messages explaining her pain. She did not remind Lily of sacrifices or sleepless nights. She lived. And that, oddly enough, was what changed everything. Lily started coming to the dance studio. Not inside, not at first. She sat in her car across the street, watching women laugh as they entered, watching her mother walk in with her shoulders back, her steps light. The woman Lily saw now was not the one who waited by the phone. This woman did not orbit her life. This woman had her own. That realization hurt more than anger ever had. Meanwhile, Lily's marriage began to crack. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, the way neglected things often do. Bills piled up. Expectations clashed. The groom's parents, once polite, grew demanding. "Your mother used to help," someone said casually during an argument. Lily felt shame rise like heat. For the first time, she understood what she had pushed away. Not stress, not worry, but unconditional presence. One evening, Lily stood outside Sara's apartment again. This time, she didn't knock right away. She leaned her forehead against the door. "I didn't lose you," she whispered to herself. "I abandoned you." When the door opened, Sara didn't look surprised. "I'm not here to ask for money," Lily said quickly, "or help." Sara waited. "I'm here to ask." Sara exhaled slowly. "You don't start by needing me," she said. "You start by respecting me." Lily nodded, tears slipping free. "I'm listening." And for the first time in years, she truly was. Rebuilding was awkward. They met for coffee, short walks, quiet conversations. No guilt, no demands. Lily learned not to rush Sara's forgiveness. She learned to show up, not when she needed something, but when nothing was required. Sara learned something too, that boundaries were not punishments, they were protections. Months later, Lily asked softly, "Will you come to dinner? Just us?" Sara considered it, not out of fear, not out of obligation, but out of choice. "Yes," she said, "I will." At the table, Lily poured her mother's tea first. A small gesture, a meaningful one. That night, after returning home, Sara stood at her window, city lights glowing like distant stars. She thought of the woman she used to be, the one who disappeared quietly, believing love meant endurance. She smiled. She hadn't hardened. She hadn't stopped loving. She had simply learned where love ended and self-worth began. And somewhere between dance steps, silence, and strength, Sara had rewritten her role. Not a shadow, not a sacrifice, not an absence, but a woman whose presence mattered because she chose to give it.
Sara's days began to take on a rhythm she had never allowed herself before. Morning walks in the park, music drifting through her apartment, books she had always wanted to read but never found the time for. Each small choice was a quiet rebellion against the years she had spent fading into someone else's life. One afternoon, as the sun poured golden light across her kitchen, she received a call. Not from Lily, not from anyone asking for help. It was an old friend she hadn't spoken to in years. "Sara, I saw your dance showcase video online. You looked incredible," her friend exclaimed. "I had no idea you could move like that." Sara laughed softly, a sound that felt unfamiliar in its freedom. "Neither did I," she admitted. They arranged to meet for coffee. And for the first time in decades, Sara didn't hesitate. She put on a dress she loved, brushed her hair until it shone, and stepped out the door with her shoulders squared, her heart light. At the cafe, she was met with smiles, warmth, laughter. People weren't asking for her, needing her, or measuring her worth by what she gave. They were enjoying her presence simply because she existed. And it felt miraculous. Later that week, she ran into Lily at the local grocery store. Their eyes met. No words were necessary at first. Sara saw the uncertainty in Lily's gaze, the hesitation, the small but unmistakable remorse. And Sara, instead of retreating, smiled, a full, soft, forgiving smile. "I'm learning to enjoy life," Sara said simply. "And you?" Lily swallowed, voice barely above a whisper. I'm trying to learn too." And in that fleeting moment, Sara realized something. Healing was not about grand gestures or apologies. It was about presence, choice, and living fully despite the past. That night, as she returned home, Sara turned on the music and danced alone in her living room. Not for anyone else, not to be seen, not to be needed. She danced because she could, because she wanted, because for the first time, her life was truly her own. And somewhere in that freedom, she understood the truth she had spent a lifetime discovering. Love, real love, begins with oneself. Months had passed since Sara began living for herself. Her dance lessons continued, her apartment bloomed with plants she loved, and the small cafe where she met friends had become a sanctuary. Life had a rhythm she had never allowed herself to feel, and it was intoxicating. Then, one quiet evening, there was a knock at her door. It was Lily, not in the rush of panic or need, not with excuses or explanations, just Lily, standing there with a hesitant smile and eyes full of something Sara hadn't seen in years: vulnerability. "Hi, Mom," Lily said softly. Sara studied her for a long moment. She could see the woman Lily had become, capable, proud, and yet still learning the weight of her own choices. "Hi," Sara replied simply, stepping aside. "Come in." They sat together in the living room, the silence stretching between them, not awkward, but careful, deliberate. I wanted to apologize," Lily began, her voice trembling. "Not just for the wedding, for everything after. I was selfish. I didn't realize how much you gave, how much you always were there for me." Sara nodded. She didn't speak immediately. Instead, she took a deep breath and let the words form slowly. "I don't need apologies," she said quietly. "I need honesty. I need you to understand that love isn't about taking for granted that someone will always be there. And it isn't about ignoring their presence. It's about respecting it." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I do now. I really do." Sara reached over and took her daughter's hand, carefully, without rushing, letting the connection speak for the words they didn't yet know how to say. "We can start again," Sara whispered. "Not by erasing the past, but by building something new. Slowly, carefully, honestly." Lily nodded, and for the first time in a long while, the silence between them was warm, safe, and promising. In the days that followed, they met often: coffee dates, long walks, quiet dinners. They laughed, remembered, sometimes argued, but always with mutual respect. Sara no longer disappeared in her daughter's life, and Lily no longer took her mother's love for granted. And Sara, who had once defined herself entirely through sacrifice, now knew she could love fully without losing herself. She was a mother, yes, but she was also her own person, her own story, her own life. And Lily, slowly but surely, was learning to meet her there. The bond they rebuilt wasn't instant perfection. It was a mosaic of trust, patience, and understanding. Fragile, perhaps, but real. And for Sara, that was more than enough. Because sometimes, the greatest love isn't the one that fills every seat at a wedding or answers every call. It's the one that survives absence, respects boundaries, and grows stronger through silence. And in that truth, Sara finally found peace.